Judge, our side strongly believes that a Paymaya advertisement is unethical because it misleads consumers and goes against the principles of transparency and honesty in financial services. This debate is about consumer protection, and the standard we should use is simple. Companies must be clear, truthful, and responsible in their communication. Under the ASC Code of Ethics, advertisement should not mislead or confuse the public. However, in this case, the Paymaya ad created confusion and appeared similar to common scam tactics. It used attention-grabbing content that made people believe that there was a real reward. Even though the terms were not clearly explained, this kind of practice defeats the purpose of ethical advertising. In addition, we must consider the context. During the pandemic and especially in December, scams became very common. Many of these scams use SMS messages with clickable links and promise prizes. Because of this, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas issued Memorandum Number 2022 to 015, which removed clickable links in messages to protect consumers. However, the Paymaya advertisement used a similar approach, clickable content that could confuse user. This contradicts the safety measures set by the BSP, even though Paymaya is regulated by them. Even if the intention of the company was not to harm, the effect was still misleading, and in ethical advertising, both intent and effect matter. If consumers are confused or misled, then the action is already unethical. In conclusion, Judge, the Paymaya advertisement created confusion, resembled scam tactics, and went against ethical standards and consumer protection measures. That is why we firmly affirm that this action is unethical.
The affirmative's case rests on the premise that the alleged Paymaya clickbait scam incident on December 23, 2025, represents a significant breach of consumer trust and warrants condemnation. However, their argument is fundamentally flawed in both its framework and its contentions. First, let's address the affirmative's framework. They likely argue that consumer protection and trust are paramount, using this as their value. While these are important, their criterion of condemning Paymaya based on this single incident is overly simplistic and fails to consider the broader context of digital financial services. The affirmative overlooks the necessity of a balanced approach that considers both consumer protection and the innovation that companies like Paymaya bring to the financial sector. A more nuanced criterion would be the promotion of responsible innovation, which balances consumer trust with the benefits of technological advancement. Now, let's dissect their contentions. The affirmative might claim that Paymaya's actions were deceptive and harmed consumers. However, this argument lacks substantial evidence. The incident in question was labeled as alleged, indicating that there is no definitive proof of wrongdoing. Without concrete evidence, condemning Paymaya is premature and unjust. Furthermore, the affirmative fails to acknowledge that digital platforms often face technical glitches or miscommunications that can be mistaken for malicious intent. It's crucial to differentiate between intentional scams and inadvertent errors. Moreover, the affirmative might argue that this incident undermines consumer confidence in digital financial services. However, I contend that isolated incidents do not define an entire industry. According to a report by the World Bank, digital financial services have significantly increased financial inclusion, especially in developing countries. PayMaya, as a leading digital wallet in the Philippines, plays a crucial role in this progress. Condemning them based on an unproven incident could stifle innovation and hinder the benefits these services provide to millions of unbanked individuals. Now, turning to my case, I propose a value of responsible innovation, which better captures the complexity of the issue at hand. My criterion is the promotion of a regulatory environment that encourages innovation while safeguarding consumer interests. This approach recognizes the dual necessity of protecting consumers and fostering technological progress. My first contention is that condemning PayMaya without conclusive evidence sets a dangerous precedent. It risks creating a chilling effect on innovation, where companies become overly cautious and stifle new developments due to fear of backlash. This is particularly detrimental in the fintech sector, where rapid innovation is essential for expanding access to financial services. My second contention is that the benefits of digital financial services far outweigh isolated incidents. According to a study by the Brookings Institution, digital wallets like PayMaya have been instrumental in reducing transaction costs and increasing financial accessibility. By focusing on a single alleged incident, the affirmative ignores the broader positive impact these services have on society. Finally, my third contention is that a balanced regulatory approach is more effective than outright condemnation. Instead of hastily condemning PayMaya, regulators should work with companies to establish clear guidelines and improve transparency. This collaborative approach ensures consumer protection while allowing companies to innovate and improve their services. In conclusion, the affirmative's case is built on an unproven allegation and fails to consider the broader implications of their stance. By rejecting the resolution, we promote a more balanced approach that encourages responsible innovation and protects consumer interests without stifling progress. Let's not allow a single alleged incident to overshadow the significant benefits that digital financial services bring to society.
Judge, the negative side says this was just an isolated incident, and condemning Paymaya could hurt innovation, but their argument ignores the real problem. The ad mislead consumers, and misleading people is unethical. Even if no money was lost, they claim there's no evidence of wrongdoing, but the facts remains. The advertisement promised big rewards without clear terms, which confuse people and look like common scam tactics. Confusion and deception alone violate the ASC Code of Ethics and goes against consumer protection standards under RA 7394. The negative also says we should focus on innovation, not the incident. Judge, protecting consumer does not stop companies from being innovative. Innovation should happen ethically and responsibly. Companies can be creative without misleading users. They argue regulators should work with companies instead of condemning them. But judge, reactive fixes are not enough. True accountability means being honest and transparent from the start, not after the people are already confused. Finally, the negative claims that one incident cannot harm trust, but judge, even a single misleading can break consumer confidence, which is the foundation of financial services. If people stop trusting digital wallets, the whole system suffers. In conclusion, judge, the Paymaya ad misled user, broke trust, and violated ethical standards, even if no money was lost. This is why we affirm the resolution.
Judge, this debate comes down to a fundamental question. Should we hastily condemn Paymaya based on an alleged incident? Or should we adopt a more balanced approach that considers both consumer protection and the broader benefits of digital financial services? Let's crystallize this debate into three key voting issues. First, let's talk about evidence and the burden of proof. The affirmative's entire case hinges on the claim that Paymaya's advertisement was unethical and misleading. However, they have not provided concrete evidence to substantiate this claim. The incident is described as alleged, which means there is no definitive proof of wrongdoing. In any fair evaluation, we must adhere to the principle of innocent until proven guilty. Condemning Paymaya without conclusive evidence sets a dangerous precedent where companies can be unfairly targeted based on unproven allegations. This is not only unjust, but also undermines the integrity of our regulatory processes. Second, let's consider the broader context of digital financial services. The affirmative argues that the Paymaya advertisement resembled scam tactics and violated ethical standards. However, they fail to acknowledge the significant positive impact that digital financial services have on society. According to the World Bank, digital platforms like Paymaya have been instrumental in increasing financial inclusion, particularly in developing countries. By focusing on a single alleged incident, the affirmative overlooks the broader benefits these services provide, such as reducing transaction costs and expanding access to financial resources for millions of unbanked individuals. We must not allow an isolated incident to overshadow the substantial progress and innovation that companies like Paymaya bring to the financial sector. Third, let's address the issue of regulatory balance. The affirmative emphasizes the importance of consumer protection, citing the ASC Code of Ethics and BSP regulations. While these are crucial, they fail to recognize that a balanced regulatory approach is more effective than outright condemnation. Instead of hastily condemning Paymaya, regulators should work collaboratively with companies to establish clear guidelines and improve transparency. This approach ensures consumer protection while allowing companies to innovate and improve their services. By promoting responsible innovation, we can safeguard consumer interests without stifling technological progress. Now, let's extend our strongest arguments. My framework of responsible innovation better captures the complexity of the issue at hand. It recognizes the dual necessity of protecting consumers and fostering technological advancement. By adopting this framework, we encourage a regulatory environment that balances consumer trust with the benefits of innovation. This approach is more nuanced and effective than the affirmative's simplistic criterion of condemning Paymaya based on an unproven allegation. Furthermore, my contention that condemning Paymaya without conclusive evidence sets a dangerous precedent remains unchallenged. If we allow companies to be condemned based on allegations alone, we risk creating a chilling effect on innovation. Companies may become overly cautious and stifle new developments due to fear of backlash. This is particularly detrimental in the fintech sector, where rapid innovation is essential for expanding access to financial services. Finally, My contention that the benefits of digital financial services far outweigh isolated incidents stands strong. The affirmative has not adequately addressed the broader positive impact these services have on society. By focusing on a single alleged incident, they ignore the significant progress and innovation that digital platforms like PayMaya bring to the financial sector. In conclusion, Judge, the affirmative's case is built on an unproven allegation and fails to consider the broader implications of their stance. By rejecting the resolution, we promote a more balanced approach that encourages responsible innovation and protects consumer interests without stifling progress. Let's not allow a single alleged incident to overshadow the significant benefits that digital financial services bring to society. The path to victory for the negative is clear. Prioritize responsible innovation, demand conclusive evidence before condemnation, and recognize the broader benefits of digital financial services. Thank you.
Judge, this debate is really about consumer trust, transparency, and accountability in financial services. The negative side wants you to ignore the Paymaya ad as just an isolated incident and focus on innovation. But we have shown why that reasoning fails. Let's focus on the three key voting issues. First, misleading consumer is unethical. The Paymaya ad promised big rewards without clear terms. Even if no money was lost, people were confused, and confusion erodes trust, which is the foundation of financial services under the ASC Code of Ethics and RA 7394, the Consumer Act. Misleading advertisements are prohibited. This makes the ad unethical. Second, accountability matters. The negative says innovation matters more than transparency. But real accountability means being clear and honest from the start, not just reacting after confusion arises. Companies have a responsibility to protect their users, especially during times when scams are very common. Third, consumers' protection comes first, even alongside innovation. Innovation is important, but it cannot replace ethical standards. We are not against progress. We are saying that progress must happen responsibly and ethically. Misleading ad damage trust and hurt the entire system, which can stop people from using digital financial services safely. In conclusion, Judge, the Paymaya advertisement misled consumers, broke trust, and violated ethical standards. These are concrete harms that cannot be ignored. We have shown that the negative arguments about innovation, isolated incidents, and alleged lack of proof do not excuse misleading behavior. For these reasons, Judge, we urge you to vote affirmative to protect consumers' demand, transparency, and hold companies accountable. Upholding these values ensures a fair, trustworthy, and responsible financial system for everyone.